I'm only same thing like premises.
I saw that.
This knowledge to what
It's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. First item, please roll call.
Here. Gray.
Here.
Ham.
Here.
Steve.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
West.
Here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. John, would you lead us in prayer?
Sure. Heavenly Father, we ask that you put a hedge of protection around the men and the women of PCAD, alert the ambulance drivers to the dangers of the road, and give the medical personnel the wisdom that they need to treat the citizens that they serve. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Everyone's had a chance to review the previous minutes. If there are no additions or corrections, they'll stand approved as presented. You have one visitor. Sorry, I don't remember your name.
Scott.
There was no public comments went in, so officers report, chief's report.
All right, our report starts on page 3. Station 3, which is that's the discussion topic here in a little bit, so I'll just blaze on past that. Image trend transition. When I wrote this, we hadn't transitioned yet, but we have transitioned now. And everything's gone smoothly besides some minor little bumps in the road that we would expect, but overall, it's been a very good transition. Call volume for last month. Right now, total call volume for both Windsor and Pettis County is 5604, with Pettis County carrying 5,008 of those calls. I put a little snapshot of kind of what it all boiled down to last month. We had another record-breaking month with 1,015 calls. Vehicle and equipment maintenance, regular preventative maintenance as usual. We did have AC repairs throughout almost the entire fleet. One of our transit vans is at Midway Ford with what we thought was a lane assist issue. I'll let Flo kind of fill you in on that.
So I guess unit 14, which is the other transit, it had a recall and it was a shimmy in the rear, what the crews reported. So we sent it into Midway because Warrensburg Ford didn't have a cradle that was able to adjust the sensors or something. They needed a special cradle since the transit is a newer, they changed something. So choice was Midway and Columbia. Midway works on 24/7, 7 days a week, and pretty much 24 hours a day. So we got it up there because we will be able to get it in there sooner. They had it in and out of the shop several times, checked electrical component sensors, drivetrain, and finally, I think today they found, which they think the issue is when we replaced some tires. I guess the rear tires at the front, the rear 2 tires and the front 2 tires were minute different sizes, but with the computers, with this, once the vehicle goes up to speed, the difference gets bigger and bigger, causing the shimmy because the computers are trying to adjust the front and rear speed of the wheels. So they're always trying to play catch up. So what we did now is Midway is gonna put 4 new tires on. We're gonna pick up the old tires because we got them here locally and see if we can get a credit. The size is the same, but I guess they said sometimes it's just a minute difference in tire size that it happens. Yes, sir.
Would this have been an issue if that was a two-wheel drive vehicle?
I don't think so, because you won't have the speed sensors probably in the front and
That's
the,
what I thought.
and the rear. Since it's all-wheel drive, you're gonna have the speed sensors in the front and the rear, and that's causing the mismatch on the speed with the different tire size. So, like I said, we're getting 4 new tires put on there at Midland. They're gonna check it again, make sure that that was the issue. And, we told them to send those other 4 tires with us, and hopefully we can get some credit for those, since they're fairly brand new tires on those transits.
No chance that those tires would fit some other vehicle in our fleet?
No, I don't think, I mean, it would fit the other transit, but we'll probably have to opt to get 4 new tires, we don't wanna.
You don't wanna start that.
Exactly, yeah. So, but hopefully we can send them in. I think Jim's is where we got those tires, and they probably really good working with us. We can probably get a credit since they are fairly new on those 2 tires, so.
Maybe they'll pay for them testing it out up there.
Well, actually, they've been super nice, and since 13 had a recall and 14 didn't, they're gonna try to charge everything to Ford, being that we thought it was issues with the speed sensors and the front end, and actually do it under the powertrain warranty, and then just charges for the 4 tires mountain balance.
Well done.
Thank you.
On the next page, got the vehicle mileage. We're halfway through the year, I think. You know, and we're almost 50,000 miles on both transits. I want to say we put them in service by the beginning of the year, so I think you probably see 100,000 by the time it goes the year. I don't know. The heat maps are below. It's a little more spottier than usual, but still about the same. The county heat map still shows about the same thing, same with Windsor. Staff, they have 1 new part-time paramedic, 1 nurse practitioner. They're in orientation. In fact, I believe the part-time paramedic will finish out orientation Friday, get his final check off, and he'll be released for duty. I believe the nurse practitioner is about halfway through.
Yeah,
Right now.
Yeah.
The breakdown of the call volume for last month, like I said, it was 1,015 combined total. For today, that was 901 calls, over to 751 from last year. We had 3 status level zeros, and since they weren't on there last month, there was 4 with that increased call volume last month for today. Windsor, they're up a little bit, 114 calls for this year over 98. Call volume, had a few more transfers out of Bothwell, some out of Old Guy, where we haven't been getting a lot of those recently. So, if you guys don't have any other questions, I think that's the end of my report.
Are there any other questions for the chief?
If not, we'll move on to approve payment of the outstanding bills. Are there any questions on any of this bill?
Yeah, where does both cities' accounts receivable bill fit in our bills paid? Do we pay them quarterly or?
No, it's monthly, so they take it out of what they receive.
Okay, so that never shows up in,
No, because we get the net, basically what they receive. So if they receive $1,000, we get that less their fees.
okay, thank you.
How long have we had them?
Contracts.
2020, right?
Are there quite a few companies that do that kind of stuff?
Oh, I'm sure there are. First, yeah, they're always calling one people.
Who did we have before Bull City?
Kansas counselors.
And the reason we dropped them and went to Bull City?
So Kansas counselors was affiliated with the 2 billing companies ago. Bull City was affiliated with, our billing company, the
EMSFC, yeah.
EMSMC billing company, and we just kept them when we transferred. So
Is there a lot of competition between these companies, or they're pretty much all the same?
they're usually pretty much, as far as rates, they're all pretty, when we bid it out, I think when we just took the Bull City, they were all pretty much the same rates.
So there'll be no advantage to bidding it out again this time.
I mean, you could do that, you could approve it and still bid it out,
Yeah.
just keep it going.
Okay, thank you.
I move we approve payment.
Second.
All in favor of approving your payment of the outstanding bills, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Unfinished business, transit van.
Page 17, I finally got, some pricing, $174,601 for what they have. It is an all-wheel drive.
They never have any problems.
No. And so the deal is that this is also available online. It's not, no way to,
What would the weight be for a two-wheel drive?
I wanna say he told me 4 to 6 months, probably. Depending on when we ordered and what their load looked like at the time, he said roughly 4 to 6 months. So I mean,
So we had 3 vehicles out of service at the same time? Is that what I'm?
yes,
So the transits that we do have came in quite handy.
Yeah.
Well, one of them was out of service, the other one,
So what's the life expectancy of these transits?
well, I mean, so they're essentially disposable ambulances, because once we mile them up, there's nothing left to do with them other than get rid of them. With the way we're running, I mean, I don't know that we get more than a year and a half out of them. You know, because I mean, we're already at almost 50,000 now. And so at the end of the year, it'll be 100,000, you'll be 150,000 by the middle of next year, and you're probably gonna wanna start considering doing something different, because that's when you're gonna start running into problems. Now, there's people that's ran those things and they've gotten 200,000 miles out of them, but I don't know how much money they're gonna spend on maintenance either in that last 50,000 miles.
so on our big ambulances though, a mile is a mile. Would we rather have 150,000 miles on a more affordable unit or on a $500,000 unit?
I mean, I would say a more affordable unit. I mean,
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, that's the utility of it. And a two-wheel drive would be even more efficient.
I believe it would be.
And it'd be just a matter of extra months.
So we've been getting 5 years out of our
Right.
big units.
Including remotes or?
No, just the
Okay.
4 we have.
Okay.
So 5 years, it's double the cost, so I'm not sure that,
You know, 5 years, if 150,000 miles were gonna put on one of those other newer ambulances, we'd be already saying it's too old for service, wouldn't it?
I mean, it pushed it up to where it needed to be replaced. I mean,
sure, we're getting more miles because you're running those
right.
for all the transfers.
Yeah, they're basically
They
running,
can't-
they're running every transfer. I mean, well,
So
not
it's-
everyone, but.
There's a cost to running neither one of them,
Right.
but the capital outlay is almost 2.5 to 1.
But you gotta consider how you've got to replace them. Even though they're half the cost, if you've got to replace them. Twice as often. It's the same
Right.
price.
It's the same.
But if we put those miles onto another bigger one, then we'll have to replace it because of
That's true
the
too.
miles. I don't know. I guess it's for somebody that does math, figure that out. But
Yeah, that's true as well.
I will, if you want me to, I'll get a price on what it would be to get one built. This two-wheel drive, probably cheaper, I would imagine.
well,
And I'll get a firm timeline on what they believe that would look like for us.
if it doesn't come in for 6 months, that's 6 months will be piling miles on the other two then, but I still think it's probably a better value to run those little ones than it is to run the big ones, the same distance.
And with that said, having another ambulance, this one would, the way it's set up may work better for running on emergency calls, more so than the ones that we have. I mean, we can do it, but it's not convenient. It could mean if chassis were available, maybe we could send a second ambulance off for remount.
Sure.
And maybe speed that process up a hair. So like I said, we have this option, which, I mean, I'll hopefully have something by the next meeting, because I mean, whichever way we decide, if we decide to go with this, I mean, we want to do it sooner rather than later, because it won't be there anymore. But 6 months is 6 months. It's not, it'll be here before we know it.
At the new station, they'll be running, that's kind of a hot spot over there. So they'd be running those shorter distances instead of driving from here out there and then back to Bothwell. So I don't know if a transit would be better to stay in, in town basically. Wouldn't put as many miles on them, or.
Well, I mean, so the way we're using them right now is if there's a transfer from Bothwell to Columbia, Kansas City, Springfield, or wherever that's long distance, the crew will come here, pick up the van, drop their truck off, take the van on the transfer, come back, fuel it, wash it, put it up, get their ambulance, go back to their station. So, I mean, if you're coming from station 2, you're driving 4 miles, dropping your truck off, and then putting 160 some miles on that van.
I might be oversimplifying it, but it would seem to me that $175,000 for a set of wheels in 4 to 6 months versus $500,000 for a set of wheels in 2 years. Seems to me that this would be the way to go.
Well, let me get some pricing on a new one that's built off the line, and maybe 2-wheel drive instead of all-wheel drive. And that'll probably save us some money and be a little more fuel efficient as well.
Right.
Let's just see what it looks like, then we can go from there.
Is there any time we need 4-wheel drive?
I mean, from what I heard, I didn't drive them, but this last winter when the roads were slick, I don't think we got a terrible amount of snow, but when the roads were slick, they actually did really, really well getting around with the all-wheel drive. But if you're careful, you get around pretty well with the regular ambulances too. So I don't know that there's necessarily a need for it, but if it saves us some money and it's a little more fuel efficient, and maybe we don't have the issues like we just experienced, maybe it's worth it.
Thanks.
Is there any other questions on the transit vans? No, we'll move on to new business, station 3 bid discussion.
Hey, wanted to share an update with you all after we received bids last week on the base station number 3 construction project. We did receive 7 bids on the project. We opened them last Wednesday here in this room. We reached out to 54 general contractors within a 90-mile radius. So touched several areas, just about anybody that was qualified to do the work within a 90-mile radius. Tried to get as many eyes as we could. Did get 7 bids back, which is a great turnout. Usually anything more than 3 is positive turnout, gives you a good test of what the market is telling you. We shortlisted 3 firms. McAllister Construction, PCE Construction, and Reinhardt Construction. We held interviews with them this afternoon, just finished those up at about 4 o'clock today. All went well, had a comfort level with each of them. Gonna go back over the next couple of weeks and just finalize, and we'll come back here with you with a recommendation and a contract for you to sign, assuming you guys want to move forward with that at the next meeting. We did have a construction budget of 2.2 million on this, and that did include the contingency of the project. And you can see here, all 3 of those bids that we interviewed are within that 2.2 construction budget there as well. So like I said, we're gonna just go back through everything, make sure we've got everything covered, work with the recommended contractor to have a contract signed and ready to go for you guys, for you to vote on the next meeting. There was several alternates included in the project. Most of them were deductive alternates to buy back down if we came in over budget. It does not look like we're gonna need to utilize those, so we will not have we are not anticipating incorporating the double apparatus bay or the 3x2 apparatus bay, but we were able to get in the metal panel wall panels and ceilings in the apparatus bay. We were able to get all the restroom fixtures in the decontamination room, and we were also able to get the full patio and pergola included in that space. Do you have any questions?
Which 3 did you interview?
Reinhardt Construction.
Right. PCE and McAllister.
4, 5, 7. Yeah, 4, 5, and 7 on that list. McAllister is a local from Sedalia contractor as well. I don't know if there was some desire to make sure we reached out to local vendors, so we heard firm or contractors as well. So we did reach out to local contractors. There was a couple other ones that we reached out to that ultimately decided to pass on their other local.
Where are the other 2 out?
PCE is out of Columbia, and so is Reinhardt.
So y'all don't kill me, shoot daggers here. I just want to bring it up just because discussion's good, no matter which way we go. So since we're under our original budget, but we had maybe expected a little bit more. And now that looks a little bit better than we had thought. I just wanted to talk about the extended apparatus bay. I mean, if we're gonna do something, I don't want to come back and have to do something later, because I always feel like that's. So I just wanted to have that discussion one more time, just to put it to bed, to see what the pros and cons are.
Well, I mean, so for me, the pros to having the double stack bay was you could fit 6 ambulances in there. But you got to thinking about it. Of course, this decision was driven off of how close we were coming and wanting to make sure that we stayed under the 2.7 so we can actually get this done. Now, granted, we're not there anymore, but I don't know. We wouldn't have enough room to run 6 crews out of that station. And while it's only, what, 90,000
It is 90,000 with the lowest bidder.
If that, so the lowest bid was 90,000. I just didn't know that it was worth it to spend that much money for something that we may or may not actually ever use.
Okay. And that's what my question was.
You can always put 4 ambulances in a 6 ambulance space.
Sure.
Did you ever see us run 4 crews out of that building?
Well,
You can't put 4 in a 3 ambulance space.
no, but so sleeping quarters, there's not enough sleeping quarters to the house that many people.
Okay.
And that's kind of what drove that. That's
So
kind of,
essentially, we're looking at a 3-unit station.
and that's what you got bunk space for is 3.
And so add in the other 90,000, it just gives us additional square footage.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and originally we thought, you know, it would be a good spot, should we have to store ambulances there?
Yeah, that's what I was
You
thinking.
know,
something
but-
emergency.
I mean, I don't know that it's worth $90,000 to do that. And that's kind of what drove the decision to kind of say, no, let's just not. I'd rather get this done with all the stuff that we need in it. And while having space for 6 trucks is nice, I have a hard time justifying the need to spend that much money for it.
As on the side, if we ever did need extra ambulance storage space, would the Missouri Fairgrounds station be available?
Well, I mean, so right now it is. They're talking about building a new one, and I don't know what that looks like when they do.
But if we needed to store one for 10 days or something like that, they would be amenable to unlocking.
Oh, yeah, and they've done it before. I mean, we've stored our apps.
Thank you.
What about Christmas parties? No? Okay, never mind. All right, you answered my question. Thank you.
Any other questions?
With this bid of 2.80, there's still other costs. This is just the building, so
Yeah,
there's
so
other
that-
costs.
Yeah, so there's
On
not
top of that, we're still at
$700,000
2.7.
on here.
Oh, okay.
So we're still at 2.7.
They're
right?
everything but, so there's 100, assuming just basing off this 2.80 or 2,080,000 number, that would leave us with exactly 5% contingency for the project, it's $105,000. We also do have $25,000 worth of unforeseen conditions allowances in every bid on this sheet as well. So with the low bidder, you have $130,000 of unallocated money at this time to cover anything that comes up over the course of construction. As we get closer to the end, we can start releasing some of that money, so we can either buy additional items for this facility, or you can just have that back to do as you will with it. But I don't recommend allocating that money to anything else until we start to get the building.
Oh, yeah.
Industry-wide, are we looking at supply chain issues with doors and windows again?
No.
Copper shortage?
12 weeks on doors and windows. That was several of the questions that we asked the bidders today. The longest lead time item that we're looking at is the generator. Looking at about 15-week lead time on that. So other than that, everything would be underneath 15-week lead time. As long as we get submittals in an adequate amount of time, there's no concern with lead time.
Because I know that one time, well, when the county SB 40 board was working on theirs, we had huge wait for doors.
Yeah, all that is come back. Electrical panels have come back, HVAC units have come back. Specialized stuff with epoxy resin, a lot of times you see that in those generators as well, for some of those interior components, why those lead times are still as long as they are. Anything else?
And PCE is the contractor that just finished the dormitories out at the community
I think
college.
they're finishing up that now is what the impression, I think it's supposed to be done August 8th or August 1st, what they said in the meeting.
So they would be moving from there.
That would be there if they were selected, that was what they said, they'd be moving that team from the residence hall over here.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome, well, I appreciate your guys' time tonight, we'll see you back here in a couple of weeks.
Sounds good. Thank you. Mission Lifeline.
All right, Justin had another engagement, so I'm gonna talk about that. Mission Lifeline is something that we actually achieved last year. Last year we got the silver award. The only reason we got silver is because you can't get gold without either having silver or bronze before that. So that's why we didn't get gold last year. So this year we applied again and got the gold award. Basically, it's American Heart Association award that they recognize excellence in pre-hospital care for STEMI, which is ST elevated MIs, and stroke patients that we encounter in our district. Basically, the program promotes quality and evidence-based care. So there's certain things that we have to provide for them. Mostly data that we get from our EPCR, from our patient care software, Some things that they look at is making sure that each stroke patient, we do a glucose on. We make sure we do the right stroke screening, identifying, large vessel or occlusions, or just having a ischemic stroke. Some other things that they look at is documenting time lapse knowing well when we arrive to some of those patients. We need to know when was the last time that somebody see that patient, without those stroke signs and symptoms or without the heart attack symptoms. So also on the heart attack side of things, we look at making sure that we get a 12-lead EKG within 10 minutes upon arrival. So us getting on scene, 12-lead, getting an EKG on the patient needs to be less than 10 minutes. And then also look at aspirin administration and giving a pre-arrival notification to the hospital within 10 minutes as well. So those guys are really getting on scene and getting that stuff done quickly. And a lot of times time is muscle on, a heart attack. So we're making sure that we get everything done and notify the facility within 10 minutes of arriving on that. So. And basically, it is just an award that shows life-saving, high-performance care during the crucial first minutes for our patients and our citizens in the community. So, yeah, so it's a very high achievement. I think there's not too awfully many in Missouri. So,
How important is our local hospital in achieving these numbers?
So
is this something we should share credit with Bothwell on?
Well, this one is actually just for pre-hospital.
Okay.
So that's basically all they look at is pre-hospital, and it's actually only non-hospital based EMS agencies are able to apply for this. So, but I mean, they do play a big part in it, being a level 3 stroke center and stuff. So
I realize that's who we hand them off to. I just didn't want.
Yeah, depending on the timing. Yeah,
I wanted to make sure whoever deserved credit got credit for this.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that.
Any other questions? Move on to headquarters drain repair.
Yeah, I go from good news to bad news. All right.
I see how that works.
So got a couple bids included. So we had about almost a month ago is when the draining issue. About a month ago, crews are washing their vehicles in the bay like they're supposed to, and we started having the drains in the bay start backing up. And we've been dealing with that issue ever since we had that building. All those drains were kind of an afterthought when we bought those buildings. They were put in afterwards, and it was just kind of slapping a Band-Aid and creating a solution that kind of what we needed, because we weren't allowed to wash our ambulances outside on the driveway, and in the winter we can't wash them out anyways. So I look back and we had those drains jetted about once every 2 years, sometimes even once a year, because it's just, there's not enough fall in the drainage. The water just sometimes sits in there and drains off really slow. With the grime of the ambulance, especially in the winter, with all the salt and everything, it clogs those drains. Going back to a month ago, had the same issue, got Roto-Rooter out here and they jetted everything, and we just could not really get them to flow. Roto-Rooter ran a camera and everything. They think that the pipe is collapsed between our building and the city sewer. So, called a couple other places. Roto-Rooter is in here. Martin's Plumbing. We also got the, what's the other one? It's a HVAC, what is it? Home heating and air. They came out too. And we called a couple more, I think 5 total. 3 came out and 2 basically gave us a bid. That's all we could get.
Did Craig Plumbing get notified?
I think it's one that we called.
And they
Yeah,
didn't respond?
No. And then, home heating, they came out and they said they were just too busy, they didn't want to fool. So the two bids we got is from Martin and from, Roto-Rooter. Roto-Rooter will only give us an estimate because they said depending on what they get into, it could be more, it could be less. And I totally understand, I think the sewer, they said is 18 or 20 foot. So they will have to get an alley permit is what I'm hearing, alley permit, dig up the whole alley, go down, I think C&E excavating, some people will get them out to dig the alley to replace that, pipe between our building and the sewer. Both of them, I talked to both of them, they said they would start with cutting the concrete and just making sure that it was nothing that was collapsing hours or something that was really clogged and they just needed to jet it a couple more times. So that's where the less part could come in. More part could come in if there's more digging or more stuff, and they kind of going in blind. I can understand, you know, them not giving us a hard number because they could encounter some unforeseen circumstances when they start digging. So the bid was 15,000 plus minus for Roto-Rooter. And then on Craig's Plumbing, I didn't understand the quote quite right, so I called him. The top, Martin's, the top number, the 11,570 will be the same service that Roto-Rooter offers us. Basically, digging the alley, replacing and clearing the pipe between our building and the sewer. Martin's said that they think maybe previously there was a sand trap installed. There is a cut of concrete that was patched at one point in time. He thinks that there might be a sand trap. It finally got full because there's no way to clean it out throughout the 10, 11, 12 years we've been here. And he thinks that that's might be a problem. So the second quote that he gave us for $36,806 was cutting that open, investigating the sand trap, and putting in a sand trap regardless if there's one in there or not. And he said that would help us with our future problems of having them coming out and jetting us all the time. So I checked another alternative. We used to, buy car wash cards for the ambulances, but if we do a car wash card again for each ambulance, it takes about $10 to wash the ambulance. If we wash 5 or 6 ambulances every other day, in about 2 years, we will accumulate about $20,000 in car wash charges. So that's probably not a viable option there.
I understand the concept of the sand trap because you have your water and your solids, and then the solids settle out, the
Yes.
water continues on. To extract those solids, it would seem that should have been an access.
And over at Station 2, we have a sand trap and there is an access. So I don't know if somebody just poured concrete over it at one point in time and closed it off, or if they bypassed when they did all the new plumbing over there. I don't know.
And the drain's been running, did they ever run free and clear? Or have they always been kind of slow?
Free-ish, yeah, they always been kind of slow. And like I said, it's when they put those drainage in, the fall wasn't right, the bay, initially the bay didn't drain. Originally, I think there was 3 drains the size of this for the whole bay. So we had to squeegee water all around the bay, trying to get it to those drains.
At my building, which is the old Queen City Electric Warehouse between Coaches and DC Battery, I have a pit there inside, because that used to be a car dealership way back. And that pit always drained slow, and then it quit draining completely. And I had Craig Plumbing come out, and they dug everything up from outside where the pipe come out to the city. Lo and behold, when the city did their smoke testing and came back and relined all of the pipes, they never cut my hole out. And so it would still drain, but it was draining because it had French tile, and it would go out or not, the clay pipes, and it would leak out there. That's how it was draining. It's into the soil. I'm wondering, did they reline that main line behind the building? And if so, is it possible that they didn't cut the drain orifice out there? And ours has been leaking slowly into the ground for a long while. Because here's what happened, Craig Plumbing was gonna charge me like, I don't know, $2,500 or so for the work they did. But when we figured out what the problem was, and all I had to do, the city ran the camera down there and they said, holy crap, we didn't even cut your hole out, that's why you're having trouble. City picked up the bill for the repairs.
Yeah.
So possibly, just possibly, we have an issue similar to that. And if the city were to run their camera down through there and make sure, what does our opening look like coming into the sewer? If it's open, then yeah, this is the problem. If it's not open, they better open it first, or we're gonna do all this work and it still won't work.
Yeah, I think Roto-Rooter, when they were there, they contacted the city and they talked to somebody. And I don't know 100% what they said. I think they said, because they told them about our problem, they said they were gonna go and run something through the sewer to make sure that it's clean and that it's not on their side of the sewer side.
Well,
I'll go double check.
it didn't take them long. They popped the lid, they ran the machine in there, they went so many feet, looked, and there was no opening. And they said, I know why your building's not draining. Okay.
Sure, I'll double check, with the city. And, I know Roto-Rooter called them, they called a couple people over there at the city, making sure that it wasn't a city problem first. But I don't know exactly what the discussion was.
Maybe they did reline those pipes, maybe they didn't. If they didn't reline them, that could possibly be it. But I'm just saying that was my experience.
Okay.
It's a simple fix. All they have to do is cut that thing open.
Sure, yeah, I'll contact them and see what the discussion was there.
So we'll table that till next meeting.
Sure.
Gold City Financial Solutions. Rate change.
It's a 4% increase that they're proposing, right?
Is what it looks like.
So based on last year's payments, what would a 4% increase amount to? Just curious, talking big money or not big money? Yeah. People pretty easy to work with.
Yeah, I mean, they upload a file every month.
Yeah, I mean,
We haven't had any problems with,
No,
are there any customer complaints from their tactics? They don't threaten to break legs or anything?
no, they don't.
I've never heard anything sour.
That was them Guido over it.
I was gonna say, Kate be the one that yields the phone calls, but she said no.
Yeah,
Well, as long as they're courteous, and if that's what the industry standard is, and we're pleased with our relationship with them.
And their rates are good, right? I mean, their collection rate, no,
as good as they can be, I mean,
but not,
better than ours. Because we send them what we can't collect.
okay, but not any fault of their own. I mean,
No,
it's
it's
just hard
just
in
that,
general.
well, and so the claims have to be per invoice, per transport, it has to be more than $500 to even do anything.
It's not
And
what
it's gotta
they,
be 365 days old before they can even pursue it.
so everybody that intended to pay after 365 days doesn't magically change their mind.
I mean, some people do change their mind. But that's usually somebody that didn't have any insurance, didn't have any coverage whatsoever, and they get the collection. And sometimes it's a bad address that we don't have it, that they they're able to find it.
There's a lot of moving going on,
Mhm.
rent to rent, jumping.
So is there a motion to approve the rate change?
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? It's happening. If not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Are there any announcements? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn the
So
meeting.
moved.
I second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Well, you're staring at me, so I figured I had to do something. Yes, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go to LTAC. Taco Tuesday. I did that last week.
There we go.